In this GYDA Talks, Robert interviews digital marketing and tech media expert Dan Sodergren, investor in Flock. As a digital marketing consultant, Dan has worked with social, mobile and gaming clients ranging from high-growth startups to well-established household names like O2. With active experience in topics as varied as gamification, geolocation, augmented reality, social media excellence and PPC. At Flock, Dan is in charge of marketing and innovation. Flock itself being the digital transformation of a client's consultancy business in early 2018. In the interview, Robert and Dan discuss remote working, company culture, diversity and inclusion, what to do with a non-diverse agency, the future of digital agencies and the agency world right now, plus much more.
Hello and big welcome to the GYDA Talks. Today I'm absolutely delighted, totally delighted to have with me Dan, that's the easy bit, and Sodergren, which I think is roughly the right pronunciation. Now Dan, you will have seen him on the BBC, you'll have seen him on the ITV. Now you will see him all over the place because he's one of these guys who just appears. And what's lovely about Dan is he's quite, I'd use the word spiky, I think. He kind of doesn't play with he plays with a decent bat, but he just digs into things. Great. So hello, it's actually great to have you with us.
Thank you. Yeah, I am for personality types, if you like them, is I'm ENTP, and I do have a tendency to pry into things. Sometimes on the BBC they gave me another backhanded, I think it's a backhanded compliment. They say you're really, really good, Dan, at making complicated things seem really simple and to kind of almost dumb things down for folk. And I always joke, of course, that isn't an ability. It's just the fact that I am quite stupid. I can't explain it in any other better way.
But you do lots of stuff. I mean, just give everyone people who don't know you or people who have only just seen you standing up in BBC Manchester saying, "Oh, Manchester, it's very, very digital." Just give us a brief description of Dan and what you do.
Cool. So one of the key things that I do at the moment, I have done for quite a few years. I'm a futurist, for want of a better terminology. And I specialise in technology, of course. Design, I've specialised in the future of work before it became a kind of big thing, which of course it is now. Help a lot of startups grow with my work at The Landing. The Landing is the tech and innovation hub in the BBC, or in Media City, I should say, where the BBC is based. Did a lot of, say, on the radio and on the BBC, which is great. Don't like to talk about the BBC stuff. But thank you for doing so. And I do an awful lot of talks nowadays on digital transformation. I used to be a social media marketing trainer by trade and help people start their own businesses as well for about a decade. I'm quite old, so I've had about 9 or 10 businesses. So some people would say serial entrepreneur. My mum says serial failure because she's mean. She's also quite right. Actually, no, Jenny hasn't said that. It's always a gag idea in my training sessions. But yeah, I mean, I'm a serial entrepreneur. Only a couple of times have I managed to get onto the beach in Mexico, though. So, and I tend to do things a little bit ahead of the curve. So I tend to be about 5 or 7 or sometimes even 10 years ahead of other folk. And that hence why I've now been tagged as a futurist, because a lot of my past failures are now things that are happening. And people are like, Dan, you were right. And I was like, yeah, but I wasn't right at the right time, was I?
Yeah, well, it's being right and being at the right time, which I think is the piece. So let's just go straight into the future. So the majority of people listening and watching run digital agencies. We're recording this not quite post-COVID, but a Glastonbury weekend.
Oh Lord,
2020, yeah. And it's been a crazy 3 months. And yeah, I mean, let's just start in a way in a safe...
Okay, well, if I can kind of give you, because some people on the call go, it's all very well, Dan, and you're a tech guy and you're a futurist and you teach people about digital marketing, you have done for years. We own agencies. I also own an agency myself. So my first business was something called THTC, which is the hemp trading company. So that was like 25 or so years ago, 25 years ago, and it's still going now. And it was trying to teach the world to become a better place and go against climate change, because hemp is a really great product for that. And I could literally bore the heck out of you with the reasons why it's happened. And and now, of course, CBD and other things, they're starting to come more and more to the floor. So, that's a massive industry and all those sort of things. So that's great. So he did that 25 years ago. The reason why I'm telling you that, though, is because I've done that, and I've done pretty well with in the marketing part of that. A load of other people came to me and said, Dan, can you do the marketing for me or for us? And I said, yes. So that became something called Spearfish. And Spearfish was a marketing and an arts and events company. Before we had things like Google and other things and Facebook, and we had to create these things. You had to do something with people, and it was, of course, before the whole COVID horrors. You did people, thousands of people in rooms, or thousands of people in rainforests, or in rainforests, overplaying it there, but in forests and other things. Some of these things have now become for the next generation. Some of the inspirations for some marketing campaigns, people like vodka companies, and we did things like DJ competitions before they became a thing, and breakdance competitions for brands, and then they took it over in Red Bull, and we worked with some pretty cool brands, and it grew and grew, and I sold that agency back to the other guys, and it grew to about 23 people, and I sold that agency back to the other directors, and I went to Mexico, and then promptly lost loads of money. It's a wonderful story in there, but not for now. It's definitely not for this. Definitely not for this call. That's a different call. But it is part of my life. And then, so I came back and I had to do something. And so I told the story of Spearfish. I was actually asked by an old client, come to the university and talk to the kids about what you did with Spearfish and how you grew your agency and how blah, blah. So I did. They loved that talk so much. Someone from the council was there and said, look, come and do the same thing, but can you also tell them how to do the marketing? And that became a company called Great Marketing Works. So that became another marketing agency where I would train up people in social media marketing, digital marketing to start off with, actually guerrilla to start off with, then digital marketing, then social media marketing. Huh?
J.C. Levinson, guerrilla marketing.
You know what I mean? This is how old I am. So that was back in the day, and that stuff. We did experiential stuff, and we went for the hearts rather than the minds, and all this kind of cool stuff. And that was exactly it. Well, technically, social media marketing, influencer marketing, all these new things are actually not new. They're all based on those. They are classic guerrilla marketing tactics. So the logical progression was guerrilla marketing, using psychology, all these different things. Went into digital because digital, it was such a great play area for that kind of movement. And also because the amount, I'm obsessed with data, so data feedback loops, and I find it fascinating. And psychology I find fascinating. So that company, Great Marketing Works, did pretty well. However, and it's still going today. So I became an international speaker, and that's how I got gigs on the BBC and other stuff. And that's how people might have seen stuff that I've done. Right. However, I got very ill doing that because I worked myself too hard, and I got type 2 diabetes. And so the reason for this bit of story, I like to explain in a second. So, I got type 2 diabetes, and I had to get rid of it through diet and exercise. And I was on a program, an ITV program about it. It was called Fast Fix Diabetes. But that was like a 2-month process of eating a particular type of these shakes that you had to do. And basically, I had to lose 2.5 stone in 2 months for myself to get rid of type 2 diabetes. So, why do I tell you all that? Now, that is all an analogy or a moment there. It's all a story way of learning something. And what I really teach people now is about transformation, be that digitally, be that mentally, be that physically, because I literally went through a physical change. And the main process behind all of it is mindset and the culture, not only you have personally, but in your company. This is the key point. So, talking about the future, you're talking about what are the future for agencies. The key thing for me and my understanding is digital transformation. But the old joke, isn't it? That what made your agency, what made the industry digitally transform? Was it the CTO? Was it the CEO, the CIO, or was it COVID? Well, we all know the answer. Coronavirus has made more people digitally transform than the last 20 years of me talking about the fact they should.
And what's been going on is all this stuff that we thought we couldn't do, like we couldn't run a business remote, we'd have to keep the office. Now everyone's saying, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take the bounce back loan, I'll build an extension at home, so that'll become my office. And then we'll get rid of 3 floors of the office or 2 floors of the office, and we'll just agree that everyone meets up Mondays, or we'll get a hotel room and everyone will meet up on a Monday, and I'll say you're 100,000 quid a year on rent, and everyone seems happy. Now the question for me, let's just go down this hole for a start.
Okay.
Whether that's actually sustainable. If one thing for 3 months, everyone working away from the business remotely, having their little pub on a Friday night, little questions and answer stuff, the owner or the managing director having individual Zoom calls, teams working together, having their meetings. So it's one thing doing that remotely for 3 months.
Yeah.
But is it actually sustainable? I mean, in terms of almost like in terms of mental health, for people who signed up to being at work at 8:30 and leaving at 5, to suddenly be working on their ironing board while sitting on their bed.
Okay, well, there's a couple of health things there. Just number one, I would say, not only from your flock point of view, from a bad culture setup there, but also legally, don't be doing that on your ironing board. Also, very bad for your back. You've got to get your standing desk in, people. So there's a couple of things, and it does make me smile. Because say I was writing this stuff about future of work months ago, and then all of a sudden it's exploded, but it was happening before. So remember, people. I mean, I was remote working before. I've been a remote worker for a decade without knowing it was remote working.
Yep. Because
I was a business consultant and I was a trainer. So my house was partly my office. That's the way it was. This is the hybrid, apparently new kind of hybrid or flexible model that's been mine for 20 years.
Well, that's what it's fantastic. Now it's got a name. I feel like a
well. Gotta have a name. Gotta be able to put it something. So then you look at people like Chris Hurd, who's a real advocate. He's worth looking on Twitter and stuff. But he's been an advocate. Of course, his company helps people with remote work, so it makes sense he's an advocate for it. But he's got a really, really good point. If you look at the percentages from last year or so, and I think it was something like 4 or 5% in the US were remote workers, which class themselves 100% remote workers, which is a tiny amount. Now this revolution's happened. And your question is a really good one. Is it sustainable? The answer is yes, because people have now seen the benefits of remote work who weren't allowed to see them before. Now, the reason they weren't allowed to see them before is not any kind of mean or kind of, I think some people it gets a bit almost political, this bit. They're like, well, it was because the bosses wanted to see over my shoulder and that's the problem with management and all these things, which, cool, funky, got it. But I know a load of agencies that wouldn't have that kind of behavior anyway, and most successful businesses can't micromanage and won't micromanage. They got rid of that middle management structure a long time ago, but anyway, that's not the point. Now you've been given the benefit of it. Now you don't have to do the 2-hour commute. I think people have forgotten, or not forgotten, they've realized how horrid that was. Yeah. A lot of people might have suddenly thought they're a lot more productive. Now we've got to be careful here from the stats that we've done with your flock, but other stats that with much bigger things that are behind it. About 20% of people cannot or do not find working from home to be productive. Yeah, but we've also got to be really careful, and that's just number one. Or remote work, they need people around them to do stuff. Now, but the other thing is, we're not working from home, Robert, at the moment. We are not. We are surviving a global pandemic. Yeah, at the same time as homeschooling, juggling 3 jobs, someone else has gone on furlough, so therefore you're doing their bit too, and having the stress of utilising new technologies and new situations we haven't done before. Now, I'm quite lucky because I've been using Zoom stuff for years. I've been telling people to do Zoom stuff for years. Now, the problem we've got is we've overused it now. We've used Zoom so much, we've got Zoom gloom. Yeah. And we're not, and all the thing is, and this is the key, all these bits of technology have existed for a long time, like decades. Yeah. And now, because everyone's come to the floor and started using them all, we're not doing it in a nuanced way. So if you're still doing Zoom meetings and they're an hour long, you shouldn't be, because that Zoom meeting should not be an hour long.